Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar, AI Advancements in Education and Employability, Bridging the Gap. Before we start, just a bit of housekeeping. Please mute yourselves, and to avoid any unwanted interruptions, put any questions in the chat, and we'll have a Q&A at the end of the webinar. We'll be recording today's webinar and make sure we email all the attendees, and you can re-listen and share if you desire. So thank you so much for attending. I'm Julia, the Getmee Business Development and Marketing Manager. And today I'm hosting a roundtable discussion with our CEO and founder, Balendran Thavarajah, and Pavel Oborin, our AI engineering lead. Getmee is an AI communication coaching app that helps people around the world improve their communication and interview skills, advancing employability for all. We'd like to thank CSIRO's Australia AI Month for including us in their initiative on their first ever Artificial Intelligence Month in Australia to celebrate Australia's amazing capabilities, talent, and potential. Today, we're excited to discuss with Balendran and Pavel the AI advancements and addressing the skills gap in education and employability. So Bala, if you are ready, we will begin, and I'll start with a few questions to kick things off. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey, how you find yourself leading this disruptive and innovative AI tech business in Australia, and how you came up with the idea Getmee?
Fabulous. Thank you for the intro, Julia. Hello, everybody. Welcome. We're pleased to be part of this Australia's first AI month. Like Julia said, my name is Balendran, but people call me Bala. I have an interesting story to share. I grew up in the villages of Sri Lanka with no mother and no education. Somehow I ended up in India as a refugee before coming to Australia and realizing I didn't have the language or communication skills to integrate into the Australian society. That was the wake-up call I needed. I realized I had to really learn the language of the land, which is English, and learn to communicate really well to rebuild my life. So the Getmee AI and what we are doing at Getmee has a lot to do with my lived experiences. So I intensely learned English for 12 months before getting into Western Sydney University to complete a computer science degree through an alternative pathways program. What I realized through that experience was that there's a lot of people like me who've been disadvantaged for whatever reason. In my case, it happens to be family and the Civil War, but there's a lot of people who need a helping hand and technology to support them with their life journeys. So I've founded now 3 companies. I've been part of a major international success story. Getmee, and what we're doing at Getmee is my latest venture. 4 years ago, I realized there's a lot of people like me, international students, migrants coming here for work and opportunities, are struggling the same way I struggled for first 2 years. That's when I realized, being a technologist, I thought there was a way for us to personalize the language and communication coaching using AI technology. So AI wasn't as popular as how it is right now because of the emergence of ChatGPT. So we started looking at machine learning and deep learning 4 or 5 years ago with the view to personalize coaching. We'll talk about that in a bit when Pavel touches on what we're doing and how our technology is different. So that's where Getmee started, and it's evolved to where it is now because there's a dedicated team, and government and venture capitalists have backed us, and we've got some really good and large customers across government, university, and language and coaching sectors.
Thank you so much, Bala. Just going on what we were saying about Getmee. Can you tell us a little bit more about what Getmee is trying to do and some of the key clients?
Absolutely. So what Getmee, the product is all about personalizing coaching and empowering individuals so they can actually go and find their dream jobs, achieve their life goals. So the entire premise behind what we're doing at Getmee is to empower people, enable people with tools to help them improve the essential skills for employment and integration into their new home countries or societies. So it's the AI technology that we built is really different to what's out in the market, where we can pinpoint where an individual needs to improve with reliability up to sort of 70–80%, allowing them to improve specific areas in their communication to become effective communicators. So that's the key differentiator. It's hyper-personalization when it comes to coaching people, so they can become better communicators and better versions of themselves. Our customers are across all of these 4 sectors: talent acquisition teams within large enterprises, where they use Getmee interview-ready product to enhance candidate experience, give the product as a value-added service to all of their candidates, improving both employer and consumer brand. So within the talent acquisition space, it's been used as a tool to improve candidate experience and also, sort of amplify the brand value by giving back this amazing coaching tool, regardless of the outcome of the job application. And within the universities, we're part of career coaching divisions or employability programs where Getmee fits into their workflows to help graduates get coached on interviews. So when they go to interviews, they're well prepared, confident, because we're able to coach them on specific jobs within any job family. That's pretty attractive within the university sector. And then we're working with some large government services, getting people ready for the workforce and settlement in Victoria, New South Wales, and South Australia. And we're working with other language training providers where the coaching app is being used to teach people language and communication skills, and also language level testing. So broader application for the products, but we're working within these 4 sectors primarily.
Thank you so much, Bala. I think there's some new attendees, so welcome, guys. We're just going to keep going, if that's okay. So with AI in education, Bala, can you broadly explain how AI in education with Getmee and AI's general role in technology has changed?
Absolutely. Technology in education isn't anything new. We've been using technology to educate at different levels of the industry. But what AI has done is to bring this awareness to the surface, where teachers and students are realizing there's benefit to personalizing the learning. So AI is able to really pinpoint areas of improvement, similar to what we're doing with our Getmee products, the coaching product and the interview-ready product. So there's personalized learning. AI is able to do really well. That's where technologies like machine learning and deep learning are really powerful. And automating tasks, taking precious time the teachers spend on mundane tasks, right? So language teaching and communication teaching or other kinds of teaching, they really don't have to do that repetitive task. The AI is able to do that for them. And recently, courses are being generated, content for their courses and curriculum can be generated really quickly using generative AI. There's some of the things that we are starting to see within the education sector because of the advanced AI coming onto the picture. Tutors, virtual tutors, and trainers, that's becoming a trend as well. But we're seeing three different paradigms when it comes to applying AI within the education sector. So AI-assisted technique, AI-enabled techniques, and AI-directed techniques. This is all very new to a lot of the teachers. At Getmee, what we do is to really go and train the teachers as well, because it's a challenge for a lot of the teachers because the technology is advancing so fast. So one of the initiatives we have is to really get people ready to embrace this amazing technology. So as part of that, we train teachers on the AI trends and what's coming, so they can be prepared for the next 10 years and start using this amazing technology. But at Getmee, how we're making a difference in this space is by allowing teachers and students to personalize the teaching, so that the AI tool is able to process natural conversations and pinpoint areas for improvement really, really effectively. So that takes away a lot of the heavy lifting the teachers have to do within the classroom to teach people in a one-on-one manner. And that's not scalable because teachers are pretty much in demand right now, and they don't have the time to teach people in a one-on-one manner in a classroom. That's where Getmee AI and the app is able to plug that gap and make a big difference.
So that's the main, those are the main points of Getmee closing the gap in the edutech space.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Bala, we have a little win and we have some new visitors. Thank you everybody for visiting. We're just going to keep going and I'll make sure to send the recording to everybody, but welcome. This is Balendran. He's the CEO and founder of Getmee. And Bala, we just recently won the Australasia Talent Conference 2023 Innovation Hub Award. Congratulations. What's the impact you're seeing with AI having on the candidates? I know it's our new product, Interview Ready. Can you explain how the product Interview Ready is helping the candidate experience?
Absolutely, Julia. That was amazing. We were voted as winners by about 500 talent acquisition leaders when we were in Sydney 2 weeks ago as part of the Australasian Talent Conference. That was incredible for two reasons. Now, Getmee is being talked about as a serious player within this talent acquisition space. That's amazing, and the brand awareness has gone to another level. Extremely pleased to have been nominated as the winner of the Innovation Lab competition. So the Interview Ready product is making a difference to candidates and also the talent acquisition teams and the employer. On the one hand, Interview Ready is really helping with the candidate experience. So the organizations are able to now give this as a value-added service, regardless of whether the applicant was successful or not. So a lot of the time when you're interviewing candidates for a job, most of them don't end up getting through the interview to the next stage. So now they have a way to basically give those candidates a bunch of coaching hours to help them with their job search. That does two things. It basically tells the candidate that the organization cares about them, and also a lot of the time these candidates are customers as well. We heard from some large organizations where they interview hundreds of thousands of people annually, but only a few thousand get the job. So that the failed candidates will probably go and shop with their competition. So by giving back this value-added service, they're probably retaining some of the revenue as well. And then D&I is a big thing for a lot of companies now. diversity and inclusion. It's pretty much leveling the playing field by making interview coaching available to all candidates. So it's really adding value on the candidate side, and for the organization, it's all about, giving back and being seen as an organization that cares about their candidates.
Well done, Bala and Pavel, for building such an innovative product. You've also won the Australian federal government. Well, you didn't win, but the Australian federal government has invested in Getmee. Can you explain why you think that they've done that, and what's the connection with AI and technology, and for them backing products like Getmee?
That's a really good question, Julia. We started a long time ago, even before ChatGPT and other large language models were starting to emerge. We realized, 4 or 5 years ago, AI was rapidly advancing, and there's an opportunity for us to help a lot of people by deploying AI for coaching, language and communication coaching. So that message resonated with the government last year, when we were starting to work with some of the government agencies, and the Australian federal government saw that as an opportunity to really give people access to AI tools even before they arrive in the country, right? Pre-arrival was a big consideration. So if you can get people ready for the workforce even before they come to Australia, that is a big thing, right? So that then stops them from being on the support systems or working within the gig economy. So it's about making sure when people come to Australia, they're almost ready to get into the workforce. That connected with the government, and as part of the process, after thorough due diligence, as you can imagine, it's really hard to get the government funding, especially for AI products. You really have to prove there's enough value in what we built, and the commercial potential is there as well. So we got funded last year, and as a result, we're starting to work within the immigration program. So extremely pleased about that recognition and the backing of the government, Julia.
Thank you, Bala, and well done on all of that work that took. So I think our last question is, under that employability umbrella that we discussed earlier, how does Getmee help improve employability, and why do you think communication is the key?
What we're seeing through our own research, years of research and data through the AI, is that a lot of people do have the technical skills to fill a particular role, whatever that role is. A lot of them have the required technical skills. Where they are failing is in their communication. So there's a big gap in how they promote and sell themselves. The language skills become a big barrier. Therefore, what we are trying to do through Getmee is to remove that barrier for a lot of people, right? So we often hear about really qualified people coming to Australia and going to other countries and working within the gig economy. People with PhDs and scientists working within the gig economy. That's such a big waste of skills that we can utilize to grow the economy and create more impact. So what we're trying to do is to really unblock that, so people can go into interviews with confidence, able to promote and sell their skills, and go and land their dream jobs. So that's part of the employability coaching that's now connecting with a lot of the universities and government services as well. They're realizing that it's often the communication skills and the language skills that stop people from getting through the interview. So the Getmee AI and the interview ready products are really bridging that gap in a personalized coaching, and allowing people to improve the core areas to go and live the lives they want, to land the jobs they deserve.
Well, thank you, Bala, so much for your insight on the product and how we're fitting into employability and bridging the gap with communication and education as well. It's all been really insightful, and I'm sure people have taken away a lot. I'd like to move on now. If you don't have anything else, there have been a few questions that have come through, but we can wait until the end. So thank you so much, Bala, for your time.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to introduce Pavel. He is our Getmee AI engineering lead. Pavel, thank you so much for coming on today. And we know you're not normally camera facing in your role, but can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and your role in the company? And then we'll just get into a few engineering questions.
Sure. Thanks, Julia, and thanks everybody for coming to our webinar. Yes, to talk a little bit about myself. So I have more than 15 years of experience in IT, and I have more than 5 years of data science experience. So I joined Getmee because it also resonates a lot with me. As a migrant to Australia, I also found it's quite difficult to start your career and pass that communication barrier that every migrant facing coming to Australia. Even if they have a perfect English, still it's a different society. It's slightly different language to what many other people studied. And yeah, by improving communication skills, it's definitely going to boost everybody's ability to find or secure a job quicker. And as Bala said, it will be a huge addition to our economy because we will be utilizing people's skills much better.
Thank you, Pavel. Okay, so now that we have you here, can you tell us, people that aren't so knowledge in the history, can you tell us a little bit about the history of AI and the fourth revolution?
Certainly. Well, the history of AI is quite new, I would say. Basically, with first computers, people start looking into how we can utilize this compute power and make the computer programs more intelligent. So we can say that history of AI starts somewhere in the middle of 20th century. And it wasn't progressing much because of the compute power of, old computers. It wasn't that high, and it started picking up roughly in 80s or 90s. When the computer became more commodity, we start getting personal computers, the power become much higher, computational power, I mean. And also a web boom produced lots of data, and we came into the era of a big data. So we collected heaps of data that people started analyzing, and roughly around 90s, I would say, AI and machine learning have started a new journey. So people started investing much more time and resources into that. And we started getting many more intelligent systems, expert systems, some kind of a recognition systems, and so on. Somewhere in 2000s, a new concept arose called deep learning, where instead of a small and naive networks, scientists learned how to build a very complex computer networks that somehow simulates human brain, how it works, of course. And it allows to get much more precise results compared to the previous approaches. And then lastly, less than a decade ago, a new concept arose again. It's called a generative AI, where computer programs or AI programs are not only just produce some kind of results, but also can make a creative result. So write a text, synthesize the voice, make an image, and so on. And this is currently booming right now. And that's why we're talking about the fourth industrial revolution. So we don't really know what's going to happen, and if the AI is going to be effect of the fourth industrial revolution, or something different will be, I don't know, biology, society, or whatever. But it could be something that might boost that revolution, and or even be effect of the revolution.
Wow, thank you, Pavel, for that deep dive into history. Really interesting. So going back to the product, the Getmee product, can you tell us and highlight how Getmee differentiates from the AI products now in the market?
Sure. Well, as Bal already briefly mentioned that, so Getmee product is a coaching or personalized coaching application. Well, we can put it in this way at least. And our main focus is to provide a personalized feedback. So we know that if we provide a student a generic feedback that applies for all students, so it is valuable, but less valuable than the personalized. So thus, inside Getmee application, we always try to find out what requires an attention from the user, and we try to deliver that feedback that brings that into the attention. So, for instance, if we can talk about, let's say, pronunciation. So, if somebody have difficulties in pronouncing certain sounds, we can recognize it and provide a recommendation how to improve it by either further articulation or maybe more practicing. It depends on different cases.
Yeah, thank you, Pavel. So with that, you work really closely as the senior AI engineering lead. You work closely with defining the generative AI algorithms and large language models used in the Getmee app, Pavel described earlier. So in the Edutech space, can you explain this from your perspective for some people that aren't so knowledgeable in it?
Absolutely. Well, we need to start off with the fact that we did 2 years of the prior research and development before we started implementing it into the product. So during these 2 years, we developed a complex set of rules that describe the communication aspects from different angles. And because of these rules, we can understand how the communication happens. And once we did finalize that R&D process, so we started building these rules into the product. And one of the key components could be our interview-ready product, which basically simulates the conversation. We know how the conversation should be structured. We know what are the possible ways to form the question that should deeply test the knowledge, and we know how to make the user or student more comfortable to answer questions, because the interview is a stressful environment, and by just relaxing the environment and it makes easier for a user to answer questions. And for that, we are using generative AI, specifically large language models, that allow us to simulate that conversation.
I'm just interested to know, Pavel, thank you, but what is the most prominent innovation you've seen recently, or that you feel has been created with AI?
Oh, certainly. I'll briefly mention that. It's generative AI, and why it's so innovative, because previously computers could give us good answers, but computers were not creative. now with generative AI, we are able to produce even masterpieces. So we can generate some text, we can generate even poems or novels. We can synthesize the voice, we can replicate some images or create new images. And before that, so computers were not that intelligent, and now we can say that they're finally become intelligent enough to actually be creative. So, and that differentiates, let's say, humans from animals. Animals are not, well, at some extent, of course, animals are not creative, and human are. And so we can say something similar to computers. They were not creative in the past, and now they are creative.
It's amazing how much that's all changed. So with the creation of Interview Ready that Bala explained earlier, from your point of view, can you just talk a little bit about the results and how you've seen improvements in the person that's been using this for an interview tool, and like maybe the AI aspect of it?
This is a very good question. So at the end of each interview session, we provide a feedback of what could be improved, or what aspects of the interview could be further improved. And also we calculate a complex score. We called it Interview Ready score, that basically includes lots of different metrics. It could be a cohesive answers, it could be relevance of an answer, and many others. And by calculating this score, we're quantifying a result. So now we can compare results from, let's say, previous interview to the current interview round. And from our data, we can see that it takes around 3 interviews to start seeing a progress. And it actually resonates a lot with just go and try and just go to the real interviews and try yourself. So usually first interview is never successful, and it takes a few tries until you get you secure a job. And something similar we can see by practicing with the Interview Ready. So it takes a few attempts until you finally start mastering your skills.
Thank you, Pavel. Yeah, it's a beautiful product. And our last question, the tech industry has seen AI everywhere in 2023 with ChatGPT, but people and companies are still really hesitant on safety and strategy and implementation. So working as an AI engineer lead, how would you respond to this uptake?
This is a very good question as well. First of all, we need to say that, well, let me restart it. So there are many different aspects in that question, and I can briefly touch a few of them only. So for instance, we're all human and we all conservative at some extent. And older we're getting, more conservative we are. So it's much harder for us to start using new technologies and new techniques. That's one of the factors. Another factor is many people are aware of the privacy of the data that will be sent to some data centers and will be processed by these data centers. Another one would be legal systems. So in many cases, the legal system is not ready for that. So for instance, one of the really big examples are self-driving cars. So self-driving cars can drive with certain accuracy, and in many cases, it's even more accurate than just a human. But let's say if a self-driving car in a self-driving mode get into the accident, who is liable for that? So is it the car, or is it owner of the car? Is it a company who produced that AI, or whatever else. So the legal system is not ready for that, and it's not ready. And in many other cases, it's not ready as well. So, for instance, healthcare sector or education sector. So, who is responsible? Yeah, I would say this is the three main components.
So would you have seen barriers to adoption in the industry?
No, absolutely. Because we can see that AI provides a lot of benefits. So it's scalable. For instance, so many tasks that can AI do for us are easy to scale. So you just increase the compute power or add you add another server to start processing the data. But with people, it's much harder. So you need to hire, you need to educate, you need to people get sick. So it's much harder to scale human resources than computer resources. Also, with AI, we can calculate the precision, and it's quite straightforward. Well, not exactly straightforward, but yeah, we can calculate some number that tells us that it's that precise. With people, it's much harder because everybody is different, and it's really difficult to quantify these differences. And also many companies, they want to be innovative, and without innovations, they just become obsolete. So they just vanish. For instance, let's say we can talk about the Silicon Valley, where any startup, they must mention AI in order to secure funding, just because funds, they don't want to invest in something that is not innovative. It's a general rule. Of course, there are some exceptions, but in general, so any new startup in the Silicon Valley, they use AI at some extent or want to use it.
Well, thank you so much, Pavel. That's all the questions I have for you and Pavel and Vala. Thank you guys so much for the insights. It's all really interesting. Now, before we move on to the questions that were already asked, we have about 10 minutes left. So if anybody in the Zoom now has any questions, feel free to unmute or introduce yourselves, or just join and add a comment or ask Vala or Pavel a question. Thank you. Thank you, Matt, for alerting the link and sending the Zoom link. Okay, if nobody has any questions, there's just 3 quick ones I might run through before we conclude. So, Pavel, maybe you can answer this one, or Vala. Do you think AI in the workplace could result in fewer or more jobs for from your point of view?
Sure, I can answer on this question. So we already talked about the AI might be a factor of the 4th industrial revolution, and as we know from the history, all industrial revolutions, they make some jobs obsolete and they create many more jobs. As an example, could be a combustion engine revolution, where cars become a commodity, and lots of horses, they just in less than a decade disappeared from the streets. So it vanished all the jobs related to horses, stables, blacksmiths, and many others. But at the same time, for cars, we've got mechanics, we've got petrol stations, we've got taxi drivers, and so on. So similar with AI, it definitely going to make some jobs disappear just because they will be replaced by AI, but at the same time, we will get many more jobs created by AI, or we don't know yet because it's happening, but it definitely a case from what we've seen in history.
Yeah, just to add to that, Julia, we already within a few months of ChatGPT being launched, we started seeing prompt engineering as a job, right? So all these content writers, creative writers, gradually transitioned into prompt engineers. So it's about now prompting this large language model to get what they wanted. So now tutors and to some extent, trainers are going to be replaced. That's the sad reality. When a revolution like this happens, there's going to be some jobs that will be redundant, and there's going to be some amazing industries that will emerge as well, new jobs in new industries.
It's been interesting to see all the different industries take on AI, and even now working in talent acquisition and seeing how they're putting it in their processes. Yeah, so this next one, is Interview Ready available for all potential job candidates? Paul, maybe
I'll take this, Julia. Our business model is B2B to C. That means the candidates or the end users of the product have to belong to an organization to get access to the product. We're in 16 countries, and that's growing. Next year, we will launch a direct-to-consumer version, but right now, the Interview Ready or the language and communication coaching products are only available to people who belong to an organization or a university or college.
Yeah, great. And then, do you want to just tell us what's on the roadmap for Getmee in 2024 and what we can expect?
Absolutely. We've had an amazing year, acquired several customers and users in several countries. As I said, 16. 2024 is going to be even more amazing. We've got some more funding coming through. We'll double the team, and there's an aggressive product roadmap, Julia, that includes further enhancements to what we built, and additional products will be coming out as well. This is all being shaped by companies and customers requesting for additional products or features. So the product roadmap is being governed by what the customers are telling us, and that's directly feeding into the pipeline. One of the things we are looking at introducing in the next few months is currently the Interview Ready or the coaching app only supports voice input. The users are able to interact with the AI and get coached, get feedback, where the AI combines coaching content from a coaching community as well. In the next few months, we will introduce a video support as well to the product. So it's not just voice now. People can get feedback on the non-verbal communication aspects as well. Video processing is complicated, so the product would initially focus on body language. It's some of the simplest forms that we can reliably detect and coach people on. So things like where they are looking or how they're moving their hands. Are they moving their hands in a coordinated manner? All of those are going to be making the product even more reliable and sticky. And this is all coming from our customers, current customers. So I'm really excited about 2024.
Thank you so much, Bala. And thank you so much, Pavel, for your time, and everybody that attended. If there's no questions from anybody else, feel free to put it in the chat, but that's the end of our questions. And I just wanted to thank everyone for attending today's webinar. I got some valuable information and insights. As I mentioned before, I will send out the recording to anybody that missed the beginning chat and sharing with all the attendees. So if you want to have a deeper conversation with Bala or Pavel, I'll also put their contact details in, or you can send me a private message on LinkedIn. But we would definitely like to thank CSIRO and the NAIC's Australia AI Month for having us participate. And we wish everyone a great and successful end of the year and an even better 2024. And if anybody has anything else, that's all from us. Paul and Pavel, thank you again so much for your time.
Thank you very much for coming along, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the day. If you don't have any questions now, we can wrap it up. Thanks again for attending.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Phil. Phil, did you have any questions? Thank you so much.